Hi and welcome to this video for how to use XML as a backend for a C# application. In this video I'm going to show you how to use XML Mirror to create C# parsers and writers. If you've ever created your own C# parsers or writers or worked with XML in the DOM yourself, I'm sure you will love this. Give me just a second and I'll get to the showing you how to use XML Mirror, because I tried to record myself building an entire application, and I tried it a couple of nights ago when I was kind of tired, and I after about 2 hours I just stopped it because I can't get anybody to watch 5 minutes of my videos. So I figured I would just build the app and then show the XML portions, which are about, I would say, 5 minutes of the 4 hours that I spent building this little app. So let's go ahead and let me show you what I'm building first so you don't get bored of listening to me talk. This is a little program I built called NoteBoard. You know, I'm a SQL Server developer in my day job, so for any serious app I would use SQL Server for most of my projects, but there are times where for a very lightweight app, using SQL or installing either local DB or your own SQL Server is sometimes overkill. So this app is, it's not too, all I'm doing is leaving myself a few notes to, I'll just show you how to create a note like learn how to make more interesting app. I could type YouTube videos. Okay. Joe Rogan gets an extra 100,000 subscribers every 3 weeks, and I can't get to 100, and I want to get to 100 before the end of this year. Alright, set my goals easy, and I'm going to set this as a high priority. And it's just, I have 3 little categories. This is not, I didn't spend any time on the UI, and I'm not going to even demo this app. It's actually, to be honest, a little bit not very responsive because probably the graphics I used are too big, and I put a lot of code in to have this little create params that makes it not flicker, which is good, but this is not too responsive, so I'm not going to spend too much time on the app. Now we're going to go over to XML Mirror, and we're going to build, but what we're going to do first, I'm going to go to my project in... First, I'll show you the DataJuggler shared repo. Let me kind of back up a little bit. If you want to use this program, the DataJuggler shared repo contains all of my open source projects. Now, I have been criticized that I should use sub-projects, as some people, didn't seem to appreciate the fact it was free. If I gave them too much money, they probably wouldn't complain, but too much code, and I've already received some complaints. But for me, it's easier to maintain one folder that I use every single day rather than try to update 15 or 20 projects. It just isn't happening with my busy schedule. So for this video, hopefully you've either downloaded or cloned the DataJuggler shared repo. This program here is actually, in my opinion, better than Entity Framework, and a bunch of other programs in here are pretty cool, but I won't go on a tangent and tell you about that. So I'll just assume for the rest of this video you have cloned or downloaded the DataJuggler shared repo to your hard drive somewhere. This is where I have mine installed. You, of course, can put it wherever you like. Now, the program XML Mirror is right here. I'm going to go ahead and open this up using Visual Studio 2019 Community Edition because it's free and it fits my budget very well. And now that I have to actually click on the program, for some reason it doesn't open, but that's okay. Won't complain to Microsoft. The price is pretty good for Community Edition and SQL Express. Alright, this is XML Mirror. The first thing you're going to need to do is set the XML project as your startup project, or you might get an error that you cannot run a class library. Now next, what we're going to do, I'm going to also open up the sample project, and I'll show you this. If you go to samples, same location as XML Mirror, Noteboard, and here's the sample. So I'll open a second instance of Visual Studio. And then I will open it up also. For some reason I have to now click. That seems to be I just installed the 16.1.1 yesterday, and today the 16.1.1 update. So Microsoft must be having lots of update issues. Okay, now here is we already have the parsers created. Here's the 4 parsers and the 2 writers. And let me show you the model that this goes to. Sorry, let me start a little bit. Okay. This is I threw together a 2-class library, and this is not, this is very simple for demo purposes, but I just have a few properties here for, that I'm going to use. And also the settings, I have a couple of properties, like if you want to prompt for delete when you delete a note, and if you want to disable I'll show you the hover control. When you put your mouse over a little note, it shows you that you have the option to show the description when you put your mouse over it. So I'll show you some of this just to run this program before I start modifying it where it won't work anymore. So if I turn, right now I have hovering disabled, but it comes with hovering by default because it's a Boolean. It's going to default to false. So if you put your mouse over this, you're going to get a little, my description is going to show that there. This program is not as responsive as I wish. I put some these things called create params that makes it not flicker, as well as some double buffering, which is good, but it's not the most responsive app I've ever built, but that's okay. This is just a demo. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close this. I just wanted to show you. Here's the options. This, this works for any size. This is just a demo. So anyway, going on to what we're going to do is open up my XML folder again. Sorry, let me turn off show all files for a second. And I'm going to delete my parsers. Yes, and I'm going to delete my writers. So that will make our app no longer work. So we'll close this. I'll just leave it minimized. And next, I'm going to go back to XML Mirror, and we are going to rebuild. So now this is the interesting part. So I'm sorry I have to do the setup part, but it is an open source, so I've got to spend a little bit of time explaining. First thing we're going to do is browse. First, we're going to browse for a file called NoteBoard.sln. Now in this version, it's not designed to have like multiple XML objects. I could probably do that in some future versions, but for now I'll just show you. So this is our note database that we're using, or notes.xml. Just to show you a single node. This uses reflection, hence the name XML Mirror reflection. Okay, that's how my squirrel brain works. Now if you hit F1 as the instructions indicate, and not only will it do this for this does this for every node in your XML file, but I'll just show you one here. And what that does is that tells the XML parser that says, hey, this is going to, every time you encounter an XML node called note, create a new instance of a note object. And for the notes collection, hit F2. So pretty simple so far. And next you're going to browse for the DLL, which is our notes model. Now FYI, in this version you must use the .NET Standard class library. I did try the .NET Framework class library. I did try the .NET Standard class library by accident, and at this time, and I saw a video by one of the lesser Scots on how to fix this, but I didn't have the time to try it yet. But there are some ways I can make .NET Framework work with .NET Core or .NET Standard, but at this point use the .NET Framework version of the class library. And we're just going to select the class. So first we're going to select class note. Notice it fills in the name notes parser for you. You can change that if you like. And this app is called NoteBoard, and the namespace is xml.parsers. So and then the output folder is going to be, and I'll just go ahead and show you here because it's easier for me with my vision to get there from here. And I'll just copy that to my clipboard and go back, and I'm going to click view. Now you'll notice the autofill button becomes enabled. Now this happens to be a perfect match because I created the XML and I created the class library. If it wasn't such a beautiful match, somebody else gave you could also drag and drop a field onto there, but since this is in this demo, autofill took care of everything, and we built our parser. That was pretty tough, wasn't it? I know I'm talking a lot, but so now we're going to build a writer. And you'll notice the UI changed a little bit because none of the mapping information is necessary. And it also defaults to changing anything that had the word parser is now the word writer. If that works for you, you use it. If not, you're welcome to change the names to whatever you like. I'm going to click view again. The properties could be a little different because when you build a writer, it builds the read only and the read write properties, but with the parsers you only deal with the properties that have a getter and a setter, so there's no reason to try to parse the read only properties, is what I'm trying to say, in about twice as many words as needed. Alright, and now we're just going to say build writer. So I know I'm talking a lot, but the actual usage of this is actually really simple. And now we're going to build one more parser, and this again is going to be for these settings. As I mentioned, now I just realized what I'm doing. Okay, now I know I have a bug because I've already done this once, but I'm going to deal with the setting, and I'll fix this in the actual program before you see it. Click start again because I have a setting and a settings. That means I changed it because my app tries to build a for each loop with the lowercase variable, and I do not handle plural words very well yet, but I haven't done a whole lot with this lately. Okay, and now we're going to and now we're going to select setting here. Sorry, that's our other part. And now once again, this only has a singular node, so I'm only going to hit F1. There's not a list to deal with, and the autofill again is a perfect match. We're going to build our parser, switch to the writer. Once again, everything except for the click view again. I didn't really have to, but nothing changed, and we'll just click build writer again. So far the XML mirror creation, despite everything else I've told you, takes a long time for me to explain anything, and this is why I can't use Twitter. It takes me about 4,000 words to get to hello. I'm going to go back to our program NoteBoard, and I'm going to click on show all files twice to toggle that. I'm going to include our 4 parsers and our 2 writers. Now, whenever you build with your parser, you need to inspect what was built, because if there's any collections, you have to do a little bit more. Usually you'll get an error for the collections error, but I'll show you the enumeration. Let me show you this real quick. In the NoteBoard.model, there's an enumeration called priority, and the note object has a priority of that same type. So when you build your notes parser, what it does is, let me go to the parse note method. Because it's an enumeration, it will actually attempt everything, but you see this part right here where it says note.priority? It will not compile because down here I make you choose the default value. I don't want to choose the default value on that's all you have to do though. So I'm going to default to normal if for any reason the XML can't parse it, if the property wasn't, for whatever reason, but it should work. So that's all we have to do, and now our XML backend is restored, and I'm going to go ahead and run the program. And that was our XML, actually I had my mouse over that when I started the app, but that was our little XML mirror demo. It's a free program, so hopefully you like it. I didn't spend very much time, but I was trying to make something you might actually, I find this kind of useful because there's a lot of times I get my boss will be on the phone or somebody tells me something and I'm too busy to go create a real work item, but I need to make sure I don't forget it. So I don't have a whiteboard anymore at home, and this was cheaper to build this app than for me to go to Office Depot and try to carry a whiteboard home because I don't drive anymore or ordered online. Alright, well thanks for watching, and sorry I talked so much, but I do think you would enjoy the DataJuggler shared repo. If you're a C# developer, you will like at least one program or double your money back. Alright, have a good rest of your weekend. Thanks.